News contributors Jamu Green and Marc Thiessen. Great to have you both.
Good to be with you.
Good evening.
Jamu, is raising a Mexican flag over a U.S. government facility ever acceptable?
No, it's not. And the violence from Antifa is not acceptable. So Dems do, as they should, condemn violence. You know, that's just period, stop. There's no question about that. And I think when you look at the attacker in Washington State who attacked the ICE detention center, he wanted to commit suicide. He was successful, but he is certainly not representative of the majority of Americans who want these despicable centers closed and want them closed because we are not a country that has children drinking out of toilets. And when you think about how we got to this point, Mike, the immigration debate, conversation in this country has reached a violent flashpoint, and there is no doubt that the president is responsible and accountable for how we are now in this violent place on both sides because of his rhetoric.
Marc, your reaction to the events of the past few days?
Well, number one, and this is the left, Antifa is the left's equivalent of Charlottesville. These are neo-Marxist domestic terrorists who are fighting for a hateful ideology and who commit violence in the name. So I'm glad to hear Jamal condemn them. And you know, in 2017, when they had a big rally in Berkeley where they caused a lot of violence, I, as a Washington Post columnist, put a request into Nancy Pelosi to ask if she would condemn them, and she's put out a statement to her credit condemning them. But she's been deadly silent in the wake of these recent incidents, and no other Democrats have come out and condemned them, as far as I'm aware of. But you know, the problem is that the Democrats are pouring fuel on this fire. You had Kamala Harris, who just called these ICE deportations a crime against humanity. You had Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez call these detention centers concentration camps. Nancy Pelosi said that they are outside the circle of civilized human behavior. They're describing our fellow Americans, the ICE officials and detention officials who are carrying out lawful orders by a judge to deport people who are here illegally in contravention of our laws.
Marc.
Or in the case of the border, who have crossed the border illegally. This is not a concentration camp. This is not a crime against humanity. And when you say those kinds of things, sometimes people take them seriously and act on them.
Let me hit another topic real fast. Marc, did President Trump succeed in elevating the squad, Ocasio-Cortez, Omar, Tlaib, and Presley, to being the faces of the Democratic Party with his attack?
No, he didn't. And look, what he said was, first of all, beneath the dignity of the office of the president. And number two,
Amen.
it was political. And it was politically stupid, because if you think about what was happening this weekend, Nancy Pelosi was in a fight with the squad, and we were all talking about the infighting inside the Democratic Party. And guess what? Donald Trump inserts himself into the conversation. There's a rule in politics: when your enemy is fighting amongst themselves, leave them alone, stay out of it. Donald Trump inserts himself into the fight, and now we're talking about Donald Trump, and Nancy Pelosi is rallying to the defense of the squad, and everything is okay now.
Stop.
Let's give Jamu a chance to respond.
The Democrats a huge favor.
Go ahead, Jamu.
Can we stop for a second on the focus about, you know, how the sausage is made? As a first-generation American who was born in D.C., Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, I have been told to go back to Africa my entire life. And to see this statement come from the president, and quite frankly, to see my colleagues at Fox laughing about this despicable, hurtful statement that has been felt and said to so many people of color across this country who are patriotic Americans. This is the rhetoric of the president that is causing us to be so divided and so hateful as a nation. And we are going to have to get to a point where we can move past his hateful language and get back to the American values that built this country. And this president does not represent any of those values as far as I'm concerned.
We have to leave it there. Jamu Green, Marc Thiessen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.